The wind howled across the empty plains, carrying with it the sound of the train long gone. Snow fell in soft, endless flakes, blanketing the tracks and the world in silence. Clara sat beneath the dim lantern of the old station, her gloved hands clutching the leather medical bag against her chest. The white cross embossed on its side seemed to glow faintly in the flickering light, a reminder of the life she'd chosen, to heal others, even when her own heart remained wounded. The storm had worsened since morning. She'd been stranded there for hours, waiting for a train that might never come. Every so often she'd glance down the tracks, half hoping and half dreading to see a familiar figure appear. Daniel. The man she once loved, the man who had ridden away into the mountains 3 years ago and never looked back. But tonight, something felt different. The snow carried a whisper, faint but familiar, like a voice calling her name. She tightened her coat and rose, walking to the edge of the platform. The world was dark except for the amber glow of the station lamp. Then she saw it, a flicker of movement, a shadow breaking through the storm. A horse approached slowly, its breath steaming in the frozen air. The rider wore a black coat and hat, his face hidden beneath the brim. For a moment, Clara's heart stopped. As he drew closer, she saw the scar on his cheek, the one she had stitched herself on a night long ago when he'd come home wounded from a raid. Daniel. He dismounted, boots crunching on the snow. The silence between them was heavier than the storm. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I could say the same to you," he replied, his tone soft, weary. "The world hasn't been kind to either of us, Clara." They stood there, inches apart but worlds away, as snowflakes landed between them, tiny, fragile, fleeting. The past rose like ghosts in the cold air, their laughter, their arguments. The night she begged him not to leave. "I thought you were dead," she said finally. "I was," he answered, eyes glinting with something like sorrow. "But some ghosts don't rest easy." And beneath the falling snow, the echoes of their love began to stir once more. Inside the small station cabin, the fire crackled weakly. Clara poured water into a dented kettle and set it near the flames. Daniel sat across from her, his hat resting on his knee, his hair damp with melted snow. He looked older, worn, the lines on his face carved by years of regret and survival. "You shouldn't have come back," she said, her tone sharper than she meant. "You made your choice." "I came back because I had no other choice," he replied. "The past doesn't stay buried, Clara. You, of all people, should know that." She turned away, busying herself with the kettle. But her hands trembled. "You think you can just ride in here after 3 years and pretend nothing happened?" "I'm not pretending," he said softly. "I'm trying to make it right." His words hung in the air, heavy as the snow pressing against the window panes. Clara remembered the day he left, the argument that tore through the house like thunder. He had been desperate, reckless, determined to prove himself. She had begged him not to go. He went anyway, chasing revenge for his brother's death, leaving behind the woman who loved him. Now, he had returned with nothing but a haunted look and the cold. "I treated the wounded because I thought it might ease the ache," she whispered. "But it never did. Not once." Daniel's voice broke. "I didn't come back for forgiveness. I came because I heard your name whispered on the wind. Like the mountains themselves were calling me back to you." She looked at him, really looked, and saw the man beneath the scars and the guilt. The man who once carried her through a blizzard just to find her medicine bag. The man who had loved her with all his flawed heart. Outside, the snow thickened. Inside, silence grew warm. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you," she said. "Then let me earn it," he replied. And as the firelight flickered between them, the years began to melt away. Morning came slowly, gray and quiet. The storm had passed, leaving the world wrapped in white stillness. Daniel stood by the platform, saddling his horse. Clara watched from the doorway, her heart torn between duty and desire. He turned, meeting her gaze. "There's a town a day's ride from here," he said. "They need a doctor. And maybe a man who can build again." She smiled faintly. "You think redemption can be found in one winter's ride?" "I think it can start there," he answered. She walked toward him, her boots crunching softly in the snow. The morning light caught in her hair, the same way it had the day he first kissed her under a snow-laden tree. "You'll freeze out there alone," she said. "Not if you come with me." The words lingered, fragile and full of promise. She looked down at her bag, the symbol of her healing, her burden, then back at him, the ghost who had returned, the man who still made her heart tremble. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the wind moved, carrying the faint whistle of a faraway train, a reminder that time waits for no one. Finally, she nodded. "One condition," she said. "No more running." He smiled, a real unguarded smile. "Only toward you." She climbed onto the horse behind him, wrapping her arms around his waist as the snow began to fall again. The world shimmered with new light, each flake a whisper of forgiveness, of love reborn. As they rode into the white horizon, the sound of hooves echoed across the valley, echoes of love beneath the falling snow.